It is that time again. It is time to take a look at the MLB teams as we have just reached the very beginning of February. A lot of trades have occurred, a lot of free agent pickups, and like I said, it is that time to take a look at what's going on with these teams and where they stand. Congratulations to the Boston Red Sox. They are the champions of the 2013 season, well deserved.
Yeah.
But it is time to move on to the 2014 season. So, I'm R.J. Kyle's with me. We're going to talk about all of the teams out there, at least all the teams that have made some moves in the offseason.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and do the rundown and talk about everything. So, I think we have to start off with the New York Yankees. They have made a ton of moves. I think it's pretty obvious they're a little bit pissed off that the Red Sox won the championship. And in that season, they couldn't even get into the playoffs. So they went ahead and got some new players. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. They got Carlos Beltran, Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yeah.
Wow, pulling the
dark side.
the snatch maneuver there from the Red Sox.
Yep.
And as a Rays fan, I'd have to say I like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Good job, Yanks. You got Curtis Granderson left them, so they replaced them with Jacoby Ellsbury and Carlos Beltran. They also lost Robinson Cano, but they got Brian McCann, as well as huge pitcher coming in from Japan, Masahiro Tanaka.
Masahiro.
A lot of definitely a lot of hype around this guy. He's a young buck, but a lot of people who've been around him seem to think that he's going to be able to get the job done. Any hunches there, Kyle?
He was 20-0 last season, like a 1.27 ERA. I mean, it's not the same league, but
Yeah.
that's not easy to do. So I mean, we'll see. He's not proving him. My thing with this, I mean, obviously they lose probably their best hitter on their team with Robinson Cano, but they've kind of made it up. You got Beltran, kind of has capability of putting up same numbers as Robinson Cano.
And the speed of Ellsbury.
And the speed of Ellsbury now playing the outfield. Ellsbury looked amazing in the playoffs. He really came on strong. He was big for him in the playoffs. If he's healthy, that's my main issue here, is that these guys are known to get injured. You know, Brian McCann's had some issues before. You don't know what you're going to get for him. They're taking a risk, but I mean, hey, you got 3 players. You're only losing 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's in the favor of the Yankees, just making this AL East that much harder. You know.
Yeah. Another guy we should mention is a guy that kind of got to replace Robinson Cano a little bit, and that's Brian Roberts. He's an old-timer, certainly been around for a while, but he's one of those guys, if he could just stay healthy, he actually, does perform quite well. So.
Well, they got Kelly Johnson, too, which I'm sure they're going to use in there as well. So.
Yeah, guy we saw for the Rays last season. He'll probably definitely hit some dingers in that stadium, that's for sure.
Yep.
So, as we'd mentioned, you had Curtis Granderson, their trusty outfielder. He actually left New York, or at least the New York Yankees, to go over to Queens and the New York Mets. And you had Robinson Cano, their looks like potential Hall of Fame caliber second baseman, left to go to the Mariners. So
yeah, Mariners are making big moves, man.
Yeah, the Mariners certainly have been very active. They actually signed first baseman Corey Hart and also catcher John Buck. So they've been making some moves, and they've also been in the mix for some of the guys that are still out there available. So we'll talk about that coming up here. But the Mariners have definitely showed that they want to get into this. They want to get into the action.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and look at the Rangers actually made a huge acquisition with Shin-Soo Choo. I mean, that you got to say, he's probably going to hit some home runs over there in Arlington, Texas.
Yeah,
that's going to be a good guy to put in their lineup, don't you think?
He's a guy who's probably going to get you like a 275, 285 average, which is it's crucial to have players like that in your lineup every day that can come out and play, and he's going to give you some power. He's probably going to get you 20 home runs. It's a good player to pick up. I mean, most teams would need. All teams need players like that.
Absolutely.
And we would definitely take him as the Rays as well. So
yeah. So the Rangers acquire Shin-Soo Choo. They lose their closer, Joe Nathan, who goes over
Yeah.
the Tigers. Obviously, the Tigers have been desperate for a good closer. They're going to Old Man Nathan to try to bring that clutch closer to the Tigers.
Benoit fell apart in the playoffs, and that's that they got to move on. So yeah, they're spending the money and they're getting Nathan.
Yeah, the Marlins made a couple key pickups. Not sure what you think about these two guys. Jared Saltalamacchia, one of the World Series heroes, so to
getting
speak.
salty in Miami now, huh?
I guess so. And they also picked up Rafael
Yeah.
Furcal. He had a whole year off.
I'm a big fan of Furcal. Hopefully he's able to stay healthy this year. But I mean, it's good to see the Marlins kind of starting to try to piece together a team now after they dismantled. So.
Yeah, they're trying. I mean, I'm not sure if, Furcal's not, obviously he's not going to be a long-term guy there, that's for sure. But for one season, maybe they can at least bounce back somewhat. We just mentioned the Rangers. Another guy they picked up was the catcher out of who's playing there for the Jays, J.P. Arancibia. Lot of power.
A lot of power.
Low average. That's to say the least, but definitely high power. Pierzynski, A.J. Pierzynski. He went over to the Red Sox. The Red Sox lost Saltalamacchia. They're going to replace him with Pierzynski. Here's one for you. Justin Morneau going to the Rockies. The first baseman playing in that thin air. Think he can come back?
Yeah, I mean, we saw him towards the end of last season. He started coming back, started showing a little bit of power again. I mean, maybe he's finally healthy and he goes to Colorado and just starts mashing the ball. I mean, I'm liking Colorado early this year, so I mean, he's only gonna help.
Yeah, we'll see. I question their pitching. Quite a bit.
Yeah.
So Bartolo Colon,
Old man Rivers.
Yeah, of course he got in some trouble there.
Yeah.
A little bit of juicing there for him, but he's back. It's behind him, and he's going to play with the Mets. Gavin Floyd, here's a pickup I like quite a bit. Gavin Floyd going to the Braves.
Yeah.
I really like that. I like that a lot. He was playing.
Braves are going to be contenders.
Oh, as usual. But Gavin Floyd, of course, was playing for the White Sox for a long time, and he was pretty successful. He had off seasons every once in a while. I think last season was certainly an off season for him. That's for sure. I think he's going to bounce back in Atlanta. A guy we are familiar with here in Tampa Bay, Roberto Hernandez, aka Fausto Carmona,
or is it
the artist formerly known as. He's going to be pitching for the Phillies this year. I don't like that a ton, so we'll see where that goes. Chris Perez, a guy who got in a little bit of trouble with some illegal stuff there, but it is not illegal where he's going in Los Angeles for the Dodgers. Yeah. So that works out nicely for him.
And another thing with A is another person that they released that comes in our favor is Grant Balfour. Grant Balfour coming to back to Tampa where he kind of started. Mm-hmm. We're happy to see him. Had a great season last year. He's been really consistent the past couple seasons.
Oh yeah, man! I'm real pumped up to get the Aussie Grant Balfour back. He's going to be our closer. Huge pickup. I think that's definitely on the caliber of some of these Yankee and Red Sox signings. That's our guy, Grant Balfour. It's going to be a real good closer for us. I am going to go ahead and put out a nickname out there right now before the season starts because I think he's going to kill it. I'm going with the Dingo. So I'm going to go with the Dingo. Maybe we can come out with a couple more. Moving on. We have Mr. Joaquin Benoit. Obviously, the closer role has been now taken up by Joe Nathan there for the Tigers. So Joaquin Benoit is moving on to San Diego.
Yep.
He's not going to be the closer. They have already announced that Houston Street is still the closer going into this season. So 2014 is up for debate, and Benoit will be on standby when that comes around.
I think that's good for Benoit. I've never viewed him as a closer. I think he's always been a good setup guy. When he was in Tampa, that's what he did really well that year with them and him and Soriano. Mm-hmm. I think that's what he succeeds in. I think him getting back in that role, we might see a bounce back for him.
Yeah, I have to slightly disagree, though. I think that Benoit can definitely handle the closer role. Yeah, he blew a save. I mean, it happens. I just think you put him in a place like San Diego, if he's the closer, he's going to kill it. But Houston Street, he definitely deserves respect, and I certainly think Houston Street should be the closer.
Right.
But if he goes out, which he gets injured
They got
every
a perfect
season, Benoit's
fill-in,
going to step in
exactly.
and probably be just fine, especially in that huge stadium. Jason Hamill. I believe he's still a free agent, actually. I'm not sure. I was looking up. I was trying to see if he got the Orioles. Maybe if you want to check that.
No, he got signed with the Cubs.
That's right, the Cubs. The
Signed
Cubs.
with the
I know
Cubs.
he went somewhere, so that's
Yeah,
a huge signing
That
for him.
actually he signed yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. Just
I
happened.
Yeah.
So that's a big signing for him. He's one of those steady performers. He's not going to blow the roof off or nothing like that. But going to play in Wrigley, I could see him coming through for him.
One I thought was interesting as well. Person who hasn't been signed yet is Bronson Arroyo. I was wondering, where do you think is a good fit for him? Because last year, okay season, maybe not. Is one of his better seasons. Is he on his decline? Is that why no one's really going after him hard yet? I mean, or is Bronson Arroyo being picky? I mean,
He's got to be. I think in his case, he needs to first of all stay in the NL. And he
Yeah, I
needs to
agree.
stay. He needs to go to a pitcher-friendly park. I think he did a great job in Cincinnati, which is not a pitcher-friendly park.
Yeah.
So if he can somehow, find his way, to San Diego or someplace like that, don't go to Colorado. That's
No.
for damn sure. And he can last, 2-3 more seasons as long as he just picks the right location. We'll see what he decides to do there. But that's a good call. I forgot about Bronson Arroyo, man.
Yeah.
He's still got something left in the tank. He's been around, feels like forever.
Yeah.
But he's got something left. Hopefully he goes to the right location. It all depends on the park that he plays in. And like I said, I really prefer these pitchers to stay in the National League. That's the way to go. Matt Garza. We were just talking about the Cubs. He, of course, was a member of the Cubs and then got traded to the Rangers, and now he will be playing for the Milwaukee Brewers, along with Ryan Braun. So that could work out there.
Yeah, that could work out. What do you think about this one? Scott Kazmir going to the
Funny.
A's. Now, do you think he's going to be you think it's going to work out for him? I mean,
I was
saw kind of a research, like he disappeared, and you're like thinking his career's probably done. All of a sudden, he comes back into last year, and you're like, Scott Kazmir is actually kind of coming back. I don't know if he's fully healthy, because I know he had some shoulder problems, so maybe he's finally getting back to being healthy. Kind of interesting pickup there by the A's.
Yeah, I was a complete non-believer, as you can imagine. Of course, he played for the Rays and crashed and burned for us a while ago.
Yeah.
But I have to say he did put out some impressive performances. His stats at the end of the season were actually not bad at all.
No.
And but that said, he still had those performances where he got completely shelled, and I have to say that I think I think he's just gonna completely fall off. The wheels are gonna come off at some point. I just feel it coming. I was wrong last season. I think I'll probably be right this season, but if he can pull this off, if he can come back and have another solid season, you got to give him mad props.
Yeah.
For that's just a big comeback because he
Second
was
leg.
out of the game. He
Yeah.
was just done,
He was.
and he somehow pulled it off. Now another guy we have to bring up is Doug Fister, who is now going to be playing for the Nationals. I really like this move a lot. I think the Nationals, they're going to be one of my bounce back team candidates when we get really get into the meat and potatoes of the baseball season.
Yeah.
And I think Doug Fister is a big signing for him. I think he can really be good with Strasburg, Zimmerman. You put him in there. I mean, it's going to be easier than playing for Detroit, which he dominated in the past. It's going to be an easier landscape for him.
Oh, it's definitely that rotation now becomes a legit rotation, and it makes the Nationals, more of a contender to me this year than they were last year. And people had them going all the way last year, and I didn't see it last year, but I do this year think that they're gonna be definitely contenders, because that's a big pickup, man. Fister is a great middle rotation type pitcher who's gonna come through. Usually pretty consistent. I mean,
Yeah,
you just hope that he stays healthy.
Exactly.
He has had some injury issues, but.
Yep. So the last guy is Jesse Crane, relief pitcher for the. He was actually played. He was for the Rays last season. He didn't really play though at all. He just rode the pine, he will now pitch for the Astros. I'm sure he'll do fine.
Another one. Speaking of the Nationals, they lose Dan Herron. Dan Herron now went to the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to them, the Nationals needed to get they needed to get a good pitcher, and Doug Fister was a good pickup for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, going through some of the pitchers still available, you have Big Irvin Santana. Rumors are that he wants to go to the Rockies. I highly advise you, Big Irv, do not go there. For God's sake, if he goes someplace that's a good park, he will do very well. If he goes to Colorado, like I said earlier, he's going to get crushed.
Yeah.
AJ Burnett, you had mentioned, he's still out there. He might decide to retire. We'll see.
Yep.
Ex-Rays closer Fernando Rodney. He's been replaced by the Aussie there, Balfour, so he needs to find a home. Mariners look like they might want to sign him. The Orioles are interested.
Yep.
Shortstop for the Red Sox last season in the World Series, Stephen Drews is available. His services are out there. Anybody who needs them, he's available. The Cuban Missile Crisis, Kendrys Morales.
Kendrys Morales, yes. Another big name, Nelson Cruz, who's
Yep.
still yet to find a home.
The number one big name, Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, so
Free agent. So, yeah, those guys are still looking for a home. We'll see where they land. Now, just to go through the trades here, you had Jim Johnson getting traded to the A's. He will become their closer. That's a good pickup for the A's.
Because we were wondering why, because being Rays fans, they get rid of Alex Torres, who we liked a lot, and we're wondering why that happened, and then all of a sudden we get Grant Balfour, and then we realize, the reason that happened is because they're getting Jim Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Big upgrade for the A's, man.
Yeah.
It's going to help them out a lot.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think it's an upgrade because they're just replacing Balfour, who was a baller last season. So
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But them getting Alex Torres, in fact, I like Balfour a lot more than Jim Johnson. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
Dexter Fowler, he got traded to the Astros, so that's a place he'll get some limelight. But in Colorado, it's certainly much easier to show off some power there. Logan Morrison, he got traded to the Mariners, so we'll see how he does with that new look crew. One guy I like a lot was Carter Capps. He's a closer candidate for the Mariners. He got traded to the Marlins, and I think he should hopefully get closer, become the closer there. We'll see who his competition is. Another talk about closers, Addison Reed. Surprising trade for the White Sox.
Crazy
he got traded to the
there.
Diamondbacks. I think he should do pretty good in Arizona. That seems like a good spot. It's a hard place to pitch for pitchers. Easy place for hitters to get some bombs.
I think he'll be fine no matter where he goes.
I agree. I mean, he's going to give up some saves. It's going to happen. But more often than not, I think he's going to come through. And he's a young buck, so I think he's going to get better. I really feel like he's got it in his bloods. He's one of those good prospect types.
Yep.
Tyler Skaggs, the Diamondbacks actually traded him to the Angels. It's crazy that they traded him, but they got Mark Trumbo back. So that's a huge acquisition.
Yep.
Definitely looking to get some power next to their MVP candidate, Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
And the final guy going through in trade is going to be David Freese, the St. Louis Cardinals, of course, World Series hero. He is now going to be a member of the Angels. So interesting that the Cardinals would trade him. I mean, that's shocking to me. What about you? How could you trade a fucking World Series?
Yeah, a guy
legend?
that comes through in the playoffs for him. That's crazy.
Yeah, he came through, as clutch as it could possibly get right there. I mean, holy crap. It's going to be really weird seeing David Freese in a Los Angeles Angels uni, right?
Yeah, I will. Definitely.
So, thank you guys for joining us here as we went ahead and took a quick glimpse at the MLB, looking at all the big signings from the offseason. There's still some to come, and pretty soon we'll start all of our team previews. We'll really get into it as spring training is just around the corner. So once again, I'm R.J. for Kyle. Thank you guys again. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time. Leave a comment, and we'll get back to you. Peace out.